guys, as you can see, we are in the Silverado today, and we're going to be headed out to Greensboro, North Carolina, because we're actually going to go pick up a part for the Silverado. Found a deal on Facebook Marketplace for a item. I will kind of reveal that when we go pick it up. And yeah, so basically, real good price. The guy actually happens to be from Virginia, but he's going to vacation down in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach area. So I'm going to drive like about an hour, hour and a half. I've actually been on the road for a little bit. You guys can see it says hour 17. Yeah, so we're going to drive about an hour and a half east to go meet up with the guy and pick up the item. Alright guys, we picked up the item from Alex. The guy was a really good seller. Met me when he said he was going to, and had no issues there with the guy on Facebook. So we've got about an hour and 20 minutes until we're home. And yeah, we will fully show what we have. But let's go ahead and kind of preview it. And there you go. It's kind of a little preview of what we have in the bed. Alright guys, it's been a couple days, and if you can see behind me, we're actually going to show you what we picked up a couple days ago. That was a 2019 and newer Silverado sports bar is what they call it. And as you guys can see, it is actually pretty big. So this will go on to the bed of any 2019 and newer Silverado or Sierra. Now they are brand specific, so this one does say Silverado. There's also one that says Sierra. Now they do have different part numbers between the two. Yeah, this should be a bolt-on. Yeah, that's what we're going to be showing today, is getting this thing installed. But the one thing that we will not be covering today is the wiring, and that is because I have not found the install guide for the 2022 and a half. So the refresh trucks, I have not found that install guide. And I believe the underhood wiring is different between the 19 and the 2022 and newer. The reason I say that is because there's even internal changes under the dash. You know, like some of the circuitry boards are different, the BCM's in a different, it's actually flipped. So the order's a little reversed, and I will show you some highlights now of the 2019 to 2022. But like I said, for the 22 and a half and newer, I'm just not sure what we'll be doing with the electrical. And once we figure that out, I will pin that in the comment section down below. I'll also put a link up here on the screen, and also I will leave it in the video description as well. So leave it in three places, guys. If you guys are worried about the wiring, it'll be pinned in the comment section. It'll be in the video description, and it'll be up above in the clickable link if you're watching this on the computer. So the way this guy had it wired, this is the factory wiring, which is just two wires. You know, he cut it and then just kind of ran his own, I don't want to call this speaker wire, but it might not be too much further from the truth. But yeah, so I think he just ran, you know, the purple to power, the black to ground, and he probably hooked this up to the trailer hitch 7-pin circuit. That's kind of how I thought about doing it, but we also need to disable the third brake light at the top of the cab. You don't really need two brake lights shining, so that's kind of the other section we need to figure out. As shown here on the pre-refresh instructions, you guys can see that there is a wire harness. You run it through the passenger side rail, run it down along the frame, and then you connect it to a front harness. That front harness I don't have, but that front harness goes along the passenger side frame rail, up, you know, past the exhaust manifold, over the shock, and up into the fuse box. Now the fuse box on the passenger side, you take the lid off, you take the one connector off. This is all specified in the document. And you basically need to put a pin in, I think it's like pin H19 or H22, something like that. I'll correct that down below. You put a pin in there, it's a terminal. I don't know what terminal size that is, and that basically gets you your power. Now when you were running that wire along the chassis, there is a ground on the firewall, so that's where the ground is, so that would take care of the purple and the black. And so that's basically how you get power to this thing if you're running it on a 19 through 22. Now like I said, the wiring is different. It could be different, I'm just not sure. I've got posts on the Silverado ZR2 forum. I've got posts on like 4 different Facebook groups. So once we figure that out, we will do a video about the wiring later. Like I said, we'll have that link down below. There is a wire harness under the passenger side part of the dash, and you need to take that apart, and you need to basically remove a terminal from that harness, and that will basically cut power to going to the center high mounted stoplight, CHSML or whatever that's called. So yeah, so there's two things you need. You need to provide power for this, then you need to basically cut power for the stock unit. Like I said, I don't know if I have that section in my Silverado. We'll check that out here in a second, but just kind of wanted to cover electrical before we do this. And once we figure it out for the 22.5 newer, so basically the ZR2, the AT4X and newer, we'll have a separate video for that down below. All right, guys, case in point for the wiring, the 19 through 22 are supposed to have a connector down here. Guys, there's no connector down here. It's just the HVAC stuff. There is this connector back here, but it specifically shows it being up here toward the glove box, not on the firewall. So yeah, that's why we need to figure out the wiring, and I don't think we're gonna get that done in this video. And one more thing about the wiring, guys, I wouldn't have bought this bar if I wasn't planning on utilizing the mounts up here. Let's just say we have something on order that's gonna have to require us to run wiring, loom, power, ground, and all that for something else. You know, hint, hint. So we're gonna cover that in the next video with when that comes in, and finish up that wiring as well. So don't worry about it. We'll try to have as much links as we can to make it fairly obvious. I've said it like 2 or 3 times in the video. All that will be down below. All right, guys, looking at the mounting on this, it looks like we're just gonna drill some holes through the bottom of the bed rail on both sides. So the rears, I think, are just simply bolted through with a nut and bolt. But looking at the mounts, I think this is gonna slide into the stake pocket like this, and then your outer bolt will come through the side of the bed. Yeah, I think it'll be something like that. This will probably line up like, yeah, actually, guys, that makes perfect sense. There's these grommet covers. So I think we would bolt this in through the top, and then this bolt will come through the side and into the grommet. So it'll be something like that on both sides, on the driver and passenger. And that totally makes sense because there is this grommet pocket here, and we are gonna have to cut this cap off, but we should be good. And looking under the bed cap, I bet you guys this is the front of the rear mount, and that is gonna be the back of the rear mount. So yeah, we're probably gonna, I'll be honest, I'll probably drill up from the bottom and go like that, because I see it marked, but it's not marked on top. So yeah, this install looks like it's gonna be very simple. The plastic caps are like pretty much marked where to drill, and we just need to cut that top of the bed cap off right there. Just use a razor blade for that, and I think that's gonna be it for the physical mounting of this, and it's not gonna really mess anything up. Yeah, you're gonna have some holes in your plastic bedside cover, but those can't be that expensive. And you're not really drilling any holes in the sheet metal, so that's pretty awesome. I'm glad that Chevrolet GM was actually kind of smart about this kit. When they designed these trucks all the way back in 2019, well actually probably 2018, when they did the design, they kind of built in these future accessories right into the stamping. So that's actually really cool. And it's just gonna be 100% bolt-on, like I said, minus cutting that cap off and drilling 2 small holes in this plastic cap. All right, guys, cutting out the stake pocket was super easy. As you guys can see, it's not even, it's probably an 1/8 inch thick total, and that plastic is only like a 1/16 of an inch. So just a razor blade that's sharp, cut it out. Make sure not to cut yourself, and don't go tsh. You know, just be very careful, very slow. Still gotta do this side. We'll take out these caps, these grommet covers like we were telling you, and that'll be pretty much it for the stake pocket mounts. So the install guide says basically drill a 1-inch hole saw from the top. So, you know, come at it from the bottom, come at it from the top with a 1-inch hole saw. Well, guys, there's only like, I don't know, 1/4 inch between the bed and this plastic top. So like, you're not gonna have a ton of room to use a hole saw through there. So I think what I'm gonna do is just use as big as a drill bit as I can get through here. I measured that bottom mount on the rack, and it's only 3/4. So I don't know why they told you to measure and to drill out 1 inch. Maybe it's for slop or whatever. All right, guys, we got the side holes drilled back here. We still might be undersized. I used the largest bits that I physically own, and all I did was use the pilot holes from the bottom, kind of like we said, we drilled up, and then from the top, I just kind of upsized it to another drill bit. Then I went to the largest drill bit I own and got it to the size that we need. So I think we're good, because, you know, we're perfectly straight with this mount and everything. So I think we can go ahead and drill this other side. well, the bar is on there. It obviously isn't finished. We haven't mounted anything down yet, but kind of just a rough up close shot of what this is going to look like. We are actually going to have to drill these out. I didn't think they were going to be that much bigger, but at least we're close to where they're supposed to be. But if you guys could see these little pegs sticking down, those actually have to go through the cap for this to tighten down properly. Up front, we're perfectly fine. I just need to run the wire harness through here, down into the stake pocket. All right guys, you can't see it, but if we press down, this will flush mount against the bedside. So all I did was take this Dremel and just hog out each one of those holes, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. Went 1/8 of an inch, maybe less than that each time, and finally I got it flush mounted. And over here on the driver's side is flush mounted as well. So guys, we're pretty much good to go. All right guys, we have finished up installing the rack. You guys can see it actually shaking the whole truck. Well, not that that takes much, but so for the hardware, you're gonna need a T40 here in the back. This is a 13 mil. So you need a 13 mil deep, 13 mil short, and a T40 socket. That's all you're gonna need for these, so tighten that down. Now what I did, I tightened down the back first, then I tightened the front. And these 2 bolts are the T40s as well. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Now if you guys were gonna finish up the wiring, you would fish this loom. See this hole right here? You would fish it into that hole. And so yeah, we've probably been out here for, I don't know, an hour, hour and a half maybe. You're pretty much just drilling 4 holes, 2 on each side, and then expanding that hole. If I had a 1-inch hole saw, I might have used it, I don't know. I just think trying to use a hole saw through a 1/16 of an inch of plastic, you're just gonna go right through it and nail the bed. So I just end up using a Dremel with a diamond carbide bit. It's usually what I use for porting aluminum, cut through this plastic like butter. And it was perfect, and I didn't hit the bedside, so we're good there. Kind of like I said, hardware is all 13 millimeter bolts, so 13 long, 13 short, and a T40 as well. All right guys, first impression, I can't even see it back there. I'm looking in the rearview mirror, I can't even see it. And guys, I have a roll cage in the Corvette, so I'm used to having a bar right in the middle of the mirror. This thing, I see it out of one corner of the mirror, and it's right behind the headrest, so you really can't see it. So that should alleviate one concern if you guys are driving around every day, like, oh, that big bar is gonna be... It's not a problem. I can't see it at all. So that's one concern you guys might have. Let's flip the camera on. Okay, you guys can see in the very top, that is probably the bar. I mean, it almost just looks like it's part of the mirror. So I would almost eliminate, is that a concern as well? This is, live video feed of my backup camera, in the mirror. I haven't adjusted that, like I mentioned, that the install instructions say to adjust it, so I'm sure you might be able to point that down just a little bit further, and you'd be able to get it, fully out of the view. So that isn't a concern of mine either. Now, I would say the one concern you might have might be the bed camera. So let's try that. All right, so there is the bed camera. It's gonna disappear in like 7 seconds. Yeah, you could see the bar on the sides and back, but how often are you gonna be using that? I mean, you're just there to check to see if whatever you're hauling in the back is still there. Show it to you one more time. Yeah, you guys, that to me is not a concern either, because you can fully see what's in the bed. If you're using that as a camera to see out the back of the truck, then yeah, you've got a problem. There's no adjusting that camera. The only one I think that we can adjust is the one on the rearview mirror. So yeah, I think that's my kind of overall driving impression and any concerns that some people might have. I saw there's a whole kind of long thread on it's either the Silverado ZR2 forums or ZR2 forums, whatever website that was. I'll have it linked down below, about people concerned about this sports bar causing visibility issues. Guys, to me, it's not a concern. So, and like I said, I'm used to having a roll cage in a Corvette, and I could see around that just fine. This little accessory bar, it's not gonna be an issue. Final concern that people might have is wind noise. Guys, I've had the truck up to 85. I'm not hearing it at all. It's not a very windy day, so I'm not seeing the trees move around. So, you know, if it was like extra windy, we might hear it, but I'm not hearing anything. Now, keep in mind, I do not have a light bar on there, but yes, I mean, I've been going 65 to 75 the last, 5 miles. I'm not hearing anything besides road noise from the tires or the exhaust. So, no, like, nothing like that. So yeah, hopefully that has addressed the last two concerns that people might have. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for the sports bar install over on the Silverado. Not too many issues with that. Like I said, just kind of have to expand that hole with the Dremel in the bed caps, and that really just took a minute or two. We were able to bolt everything down, hardware, everything worked really well. And yeah, hopefully I answered all the questions and concerns you guys might have. I posted a question about the wiring in the AT4X group, the Silverado group. Kind of like I said earlier, I'm trying to throw out as many lures as I can to try to get some information on the wiring. And some people commented up, hey, is there noise? How's the vision? How's, the backup camera and all that stuff? So hopefully we answered all those questions, and yeah, that's gonna be it. Now, hopefully from all those threads that we started, we get some answers on the wiring and we can do an update on this. But like I said, I'm waiting for another item to come in. I don't know how long that's gonna take. And I really don't wanna be doing wiring on the truck twice, because I'm gonna have to, find power, ground, signal, all that stuff. I don't have to do that twice, so I'm just gonna wait until I get the answers and then that product comes in and we'll pick this up. If you guys wanna see that video, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notification. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. I'll try to include a part number for the sports bar. I should be able to find that. Doubt we'll find it on Amazon, but I'll provide you all the information that we get there. And like I said, once we post that electrical video, we will come back and update this video with all the proper links. So that's gonna be it. Also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com, and any support you guys can give there goes right back into the channel, the truck, the Corvette, the shop, and all that stuff. So that's gonna be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.